Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone and welcome to Work in Progress, the Personal Productivity Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. Let's get started. I am your host, Tia Harmer, and today I am joined by Gabriella Joustra, fellow colleague and host of Room by Room and On the House. Today's topic is working from home and how your home space can help your productivity. Let's get started. Hi, Gabriella. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. This is an odd dynamic for me and Gabriella because if you haven't gauged already, Gabriella is another host of one of the gorgeous podcasts that we have here at LMSL. So do you want to introduce yourself and just kind of tell the people who you are?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Gabriella.
Hi,
really
Gabriella.
Hi. This is a really odd experience for me being on the other side of the table.
Yeah, it's so weird, right?
Yeah. So, and listening to you get to do the introduction, I'm like, oh, this is so weird. Is that what I sound like? No, but I have my own podcasts. Mm-hmm. So I do a podcast called Room by Room, which is about home organization, and another one it's called On the House, and that's about home management. Let's see, what else about me? So I started...
Tell us about yourself.
So I started working for this company about a year ago, almost.
Yeah, we all started at the same time.
Yeah, and
so
I also started studying at about the same time, studying from home online.
Yeah.
So I went from working in a shop and having a lot of spare time to 2 part-time jobs and study from home.
Jeez.
And this job here, working for the podcast, I mainly work from home and then I come into the studios to record things, but that's once a week. So the rest of the time I'm at home. Yeah. So it was a huge shift for me.
Wow.
Going from, I can do whatever I want at home to having to use every second of my time at home to study or work, and trying not to let myself get distracted by home stuff.
Oh my gosh,
I want to pet my cat all the time.
Biggest problem ever. Literally, so many of the hosts have cats. I think me and Aditi are the only ones that don't have cats. Aditi's got a dog and I have chickens, but so many of the hosts have cats, and so every single meeting it's always your cat or Dita's. Someone always crawls across the screen and just walks on the keypad.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Yeah. The number of times I have to open my door for him when I'm doing something and just let him in and then close the door again because it's his room.
Fair enough.
He just doesn't use it.
Kingdom. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness. But yes. Okay. So that's Gabriella. We're going to do some get to know the guest questions now. So this is the part of the show where I'm going to ask Gabriella some more personal questions so that we can get to know the guest just, a little bit more casually. She's not here as an expert. She's just here as just a guest. But anyway, all right. So I'm going to ask you the following questions. What is a recent book you have read?
A recent book? This is not what I was going to talk about.
Oh.
Can I talk about my favorite book?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite book is actually a book series because I can't decide.
Oh, yeah,
it's about 15 books long. It's called The Realm of the Elderlings. It's by Robin Hobb.
Ooh,
It's fantasy because I love fantasy.
Yeah.
I also love books that are bricks.
What? What does that mean?
They should be the size of a brick.
Oh, as in like thickness. I thought that was like an acronym for something cool.
No.
Okay,
I
just
made that
like
up
an
the other
actual
day.
brick. Yeah.
Because the book I'm reading
Brick
at the
books.
moment is also a brick. Like you
Jeez.
could throw it at someone
Yeah,
and
it
hurt.
could do some damage. Wow.
I read this during lockdown, the first one, and it honestly kept me sane.
Oh, wow.
Because it's so long. What
Yeah.
I love about it is that it's like broken up into sections, so it's like a trilogy and then another trilogy. So you don't have to read them all in one go,
Oh, that's good.
but it's all like set in the one universe.
Yeah.
Again, I guess it's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, so yeah, what is this? What are these about? Because it sounds very like Lord of the Ring vibes, but then also like what are we working with here?
Okay, so the first sort of there's sort of two storylines, main storylines going on in these books. So the first one is about this guy called Fitz. He's the illegitimate son of the king, and he's basically becomes an assassin.
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
it's his life, starting from like his birth,
all
the way to his death. Whoa. Over
Oh my gosh.
9 books.
Whoa, that's so wow. Jeez.
And then the other section of the series is about dragons.
Oh, cool.
I mean, dragons also feature in the other books, but they're more about like the life cycle of the dragons for the other ones.
So weird. Okay, yeah, cool.
And basically, it's all set in one place where, you know, there's a kingdom and they've all got magic.
Yeah.
And they've got
I love
dead
that.
people coming back to life.
Cool.
And they've got to, you know, free some dragons to save them from the dead people.
Cool.
I don't know. Actually, the thing I like about this the most
Yeah.
isn't the magic. It's the fact that a lot of it's quite mundane.
Okay, yeah.
There's like one book. I always tell people this. There's one book where the first third of the book is just people coming to this guy, Fitz, who's living on a farm and going, you need to come back and do adventures. And he's like, nah, I want a farm. That's like a good 100 pages of this book is him going, nah, I want a farm.
I love that. You get it, king.
Yeah. So that's what I love about this book is they just take a lot of time to do things. And it really allows you to like get really immersed into books.
So you don't find it boring?
No.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Would you? So you wouldn't say it's like fast paced? It's like pretty.
No, it's pretty slow paced.
Okay.
But in like a good way. I don't know. The writing is good enough that you don't get bored. You're always interested in what's happening next.
That's my biggest fear is like I'm going to buy a book and then I'm like, this is really slow because I get bored like really quickly. So I need something that's like either really good writing or like the plot line is really good. Both is optimal. But
I feel like it's not that there's no plot. It's just it's not like people fighting things. It's not lots of twists and turns. It's like it's a lot of relationship building actually.
okay.
So like people interacting with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if I've described this book well enough, but it's my favorite book.
Okay. No. Okay.
Book
Okay.
series.
What is it? What's the something of the Elderlings?
It's the Realm of the Elderlings is the massive
Okay.
title of the whole series.
Whoa.
I recommend you start with the first one.
Yeah.
Which is oh no, I forgot what it's called.
My favorite book, my ass.
It's like the first book by Robin Hobb.
Okay, yeah.
It's like the first one.
The first one. Oh my God, how do you
the
spell
Assassin's Apprentice,
Elderlings?
I think it's the Assassin's Apprentice.
The Realm of the... Oh, there it is. Okay, book trilogies. Oh.
Yes, it is the Assassin's Apprentice.
They look so cool. Whoa, 16 books. Jeez.
16. Oh yeah, it is 16.
This is... Okay, these are cool though. These are great. How did you find these? Like, what?
My cousin,
Yeah.
He lent me the first one about the... Well, not the first one. The first one that I read, which was about magical ships.
Cool.
And he was like, you'd like this because you like
'Cause why not?
fantasy.
Yeah.
And man, I loved them.
I love fantasy books.
Yeah.
They're just my everything. Is it like something that you've read? Like, can you compare it to something, or is this like a standalone? Like, it's really unique. Because it's giving me like Arthur and the Minimoys kind of vibes.
I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Probably the closest is my second favorite book series is by Patrick Rothfuss.
Yeah.
And the first one's called The Name of the Wind. And so this also follows a guy who's magical and his like life journey to being an assassin.
Jeez. This is a bit of a trend.
It's like I would say it's high fantasy, but like not like really densely written in the way that like Lord of the Rings is. I don't know.
Okay.
I liked reading Lord of the Rings, but parts of it were kind of boring.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So I feel like it's easier and than Lord of the Rings in a sense.
Okay, cool. Oh, I really want to read these now. They sound really interesting. Yeah, oh my gosh, please. They sound so good. Okay, so second question. And I don't really know what like do you want me to just like give you just like talk about movies, because I've got like questions like what is a movie you would recommend, but if you've got answers that you want to share, because like for like context, guys, Gabriella like had prepared like answers to these questions that I haven't actually given her. So she's got answers that like will maybe answer the question. So I'm just going to give you movies and you can just go for it.
So a movie that I would recommend is it's a Japanese movie called One Cut of the Dead.
Ooh, okay.
It's a zombie movie.
Of course it is.
Okay, I don't like zombie movies. Zombies freak me out.
Yeah.
I had to stop watching
zombie
them.
movies is a very Korean thing.
Is it?
I don't know, maybe it's...
I don't know.
Maybe it's just I don't know, maybe I've only watched Korean zombie movies and therefore I'm just like...
I tried watching Train to Busan.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, yeah.
I couldn't watch it. It freaked me out too much.
Oh, okay, but this movie is not.
Okay, so I should explain. I don't like horror.
No,
zombie
me neither.
movies freak me out so much I can't sleep.
Oh, okay.
I'm also it's very easy to scare me, actually.
Yeah, me too.
But this movie, so it's a Japanese movie about people making a movie about zombies, but then zombies actually happen.
Oh, wow, okay. And that sounds so creepy.
It's so cool.
Oh.
And I can't tell you much more than the fact that it's a movie about zombies, but there's actually zombies. Than that.
Okay.
But you have to watch it because it's amazing.
Is this like an animated movie, or is this like humans?
Real. It's like real thing.
That makes it creepier. Oh.
But it's not hugely scary. I would say that if you are easily scared, don't worry too much.
Okay, all right.
It's
baby.
Yeah. I would recommend that to people who aren't squeamish.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay.
But it's amazing. Like just amazing.
Yeah, if you're squeamish, zombie movies really aren't the place to be.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, what's it called?
One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead. Okay.
Don't look up anything about it though.
Okay, it's very spoiler.
I don't think you can. It's a bit like Parasite in the sense that if you learn anything about it, it will kind of ruin it.
Already ruin it. Yeah, it's like the plot twist is the plot line kind of situation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and you will ruin a lot of the amazingness if you learn any of the plot.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah.
Interesting. I tried to watch Parasite and it actually freaked me out. I couldn't watch it. It genuinely scared me. No, like the part where the guy is coming out of the...
Spoilers.
Oh,
everyone.
Oh yeah, spoilers, sorry.
Just stop listening now.
It doesn't give you anything about the plot line, but anyway, the guy coming out of like the basement and he just kind of like appears and he's got like this, and I think about that all the time, and it's like my worst, like it's the creepiest thing, and I stopped watching it after that. I haven't finished it. I just like stopped watching.
So I watched it in the movie theaters, so I couldn't leave.
Yeah,
but I mean, I thought it was so good, but it made me think about it for days, because the idea of living in the basement trapped there would honestly... It freaks me out so much.
Yeah, totally.
I think that I couldn't do it.
So scary, but
I think I'd rather go to jail or whatever is going to happen to this guy than live in this basement.
Yeah. Okay, is there any other movie that you wanted to talk about that you prepared? That was it. Okay. Third question is a famous role model related. I'm not going to ask you a specific question. I'll just give it to you.
So some famous-ish role model.
Okay.
So I'm also really into sewing and knitting.
I was literally going to say, I was like, this is going to be some like Mr. Maker.
Yeah. So this person she's an actor. She voiced a podcast. She's on oh man, everything is vanished from my mind. Welcome to Night Vale. She was on Welcome to Night Vale. She's on Alice Isn't Dead. And she also makes the most amazing clothes.
Cool.
But also, I think just like the way that she writes is, I really love it in the way that she expresses herself.
Yeah.
So her name is Jessica Nicole.
Okay.
So she, I don't know, I just love the way that she, so for example, she makes clothes for her body, but she talks about it in such a way that isn't, I guess, body shamey. And she's really against body shaming. If someone says anything like, you look so slim in that, and then she's like, no, we don't say those types of things.
Yeah, totally.
You know, because my body isn't better than yours because of whatever reason.
There's no optimal shape.
You can't say something is good without saying that's meaning something is bad as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I love all of the things that she says on her Instagram page. She used to write a blog. I don't think she does it as much anymore. But the things that she makes, I think, are really beautiful. I think that the way she talks is really lovely. I just love everything that she does on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd say that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. I like it. Not somebody that you would just, not the average person would pick. I like it. But it's very you. Okay, so fourth question is podcasts. Give me something.
Okay, so I've been listening to podcasts for 10 years now.
Oh, so before they were trendy.
Just, I think, as they were getting trendy.
Yeah, okay.
So my favorite podcasts are actually fictional podcasts.
Oh,
I wrote some down.
I literally did not even know that was a thing. I literally only thought podcasts were just like humans having conversations.
I'm really picky with my podcasts, but also like
does not surprise me in the slightest.
So it's funny because I listen to a lot of nonfiction podcasts. I try to I guess learn by listening to podcasts.
Yeah,
but my favorite
me too.
ones are definitely the fiction podcasts. So
Okay.
probably two favorite are Albus Salix and Wooden Overcoats.
Oh, that sounds really nice. I like that title.
Yeah, okay, do you want to know what Wooden Overcoats is about? It's about a funeral home.
What? Why? What? This sounds really morbid.
Yeah, no, it's
No.
no, it's not. It's not morbid.
Okay, all right.
It's like a comedy, but it's like a lovely comedy.
I like funeral home comedies tend to be like quite hilarious, actually.
Yeah. So it's like this family, like brother and sister, who own a funeral home on this tiny island.
Yeah.
And then this other guy comes along from the mainland and starts his own funeral home.
Oh.
But they've only got a tiny village. So what happens when you've got two funeral homes in a tiny village?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah, that's not going to end well.
It's basically just the rivalry between them.
I love this.
Yeah,
That's
so-
hilarious.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's my favorite. They've unfortunately finished now.
Oh, so sad.
But it's funny because all of my favorite podcasts don't come under, like, they did the Spotify Wrapped thing.
Yeah.
None of them were on there because they're too short-lived.
Oh, so
Because, like,
sad.
it goes by hours you've listened, and if they've only got, like, 30 episodes,
Oh, yeah.
then it's not going to be there.
That's sad.
But
I
anyway.
I really want to listen to these now because that sounds. Is it like one person? Is it kind of just like an audiobook, or is it like multiple people
No,
playing
multiple
different
people,
characters?
lots of different characters.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
And it's
Oh
really
my
cool
gosh.
because then you listen to other podcasts. I listen to a lot of fiction podcasts, and then you hear people from other in other podcasts. And you're like, oh, I recognize that voice.
It's like the nerdiest thing ever. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, so that's what I do with my spare time.
I always learn new stuff when I talk to Gabriella. It's like the most insightful thing. It's always good stuff though. I'm like, why didn't I know this before? Like I just listen to podcasts with this usually funny podcasts because I need comedic relief, or just podcasts are just really good, just female hosts who just talk about really cool stuff. But I like this fiction podcast thing. I'm totally going to listen to this. Please send me some recommendations.
I will. But also I'd love to hear later on, maybe you'll come on my podcast and I'll hear what you listen to. Maybe one day.
That's cool. Yeah. If you haven't gauged by now, we've all been on not all of us, but some of us have been on each other's podcasts. Like I was on Dina's podcast, which is the family and parenting. She's got 2 podcasts, and then Dina was on mine and Gabriella was on Aditi's, and I don't think any of us have been on Lou's yet, or she hasn't been on any of ours either.
No, I don't think so.
No, she hasn't guested.
I think Aditi had her.
Did she have Lou on? Yeah, probably. But yeah, so we're all slowly coming and guesting on each other's podcasts. So yeah, look out for more hosts in the very near future. I feel like I may have Aditi on next week. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's actually get into it now, because we just spent 20 minutes just talking about random stuff. So we're here to talk about working from home, as I already mentioned, and this is something that we've both done, whether it was in the past, currently doing, etc., etc. When did you start working from home?
So I started basically February last year, so about 11 months ago for me.
Okay.
So it's actually when I started this job here. Because before that, I'd been working in a shop. I still actually was working for a shop for the last year, but just reducing my hours. So working. This is the first time, that I've worked from home.
Yeah, wow.
Actually, it's probably the first time I've worked in an office in a way as well.
Right, yeah.
Every other job I've had has been hospo or retail.
Oh, yeah. This is some weird hybrid situation. Yeah.
So I was a little bit, I guess, worried at the beginning of how I was going to manage this. And I was also studying from home at the same time.
Yeah.
So something I've been struggling with, I guess, over the last 11 months is balancing home, work, and study all at home.
Oh my gosh,
in the same space.
Genuinely the biggest struggle ever.
Yeah.
Ugh, so gross. But yeah, interesting. Yeah, I had only started doing the work. I did the work from home thing during, at the start of COVID, because I was working at a law firm, and a lot of what we did was just on our laptops. So we got our work laptops and just went home, and it was totally fine. The worst work from home experience ever. That had not a lot to do with the firm. I won't name the firm. Just for the sake, contractually, I won't name the firm. A lot of that didn't have to do with the firm. It was just the working from home thing was just so foreign to me. And I was just, trying to work from home with a law firm is just so hard, especially because when this happened, it was COVID, and a lot of places had not done this before. This is a very new concept. So unless you were a freelancer, this was really not something a lot of people had done. But the whole remote kind of working that we do, because for those listening, we don't have a set office. We have our studio that we're currently recording in, but you can come here and work, but nobody really does. Everyone just comes here for recordings because that's the purpose of the space. So if you really want to knuckle down and get some stuff done, you kind of have to go find your own path. This was the first job where I actually did this is real work from home, remote freelancer contractor kind of vibes. But yeah, it's weird. It is really weird.
I found it particularly hard at the beginning. I think the working from home was hardest at the beginning because I really like working with other people, I think. That's something I found working in a shop was if I don't know something, I'll just go over to my coworker and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Oh my gosh,
yeah, that's the thing I miss the most.
That's so easy. It's not easy, but just it's just nice to have other people. If I'm not sure about something, I'll go and ask someone's opinion. I found it a lot harder to do that, particularly at the beginning, with everyone because, I don't know everyone particularly well. I have a thing, I don't like disturbing people.
Yeah, Gabriella was so quiet when we first met. She was so nice and so cool, but so quiet, and the rest of the hosts are just so loud.
I find I don't talk and in new situations unless I'm spoken or I have something specific to say.
Me too. Yeah, it was so weird. And our work environment was very different, especially just coming from the work backgrounds. Even though you did a lot of hospo retail kind of stuff, and I was just in a cubicle in the law firm, but still it was very much you don't yeah, it was just very different. Whereas everyone that we worked with has already worked in media, and there's just such a different vibe that comes with working in media. It's so, it was just like so jarring. I was like, this is so weird, because I was so used to like, you don't speak unless you're spoken to. Because like in a law firm, like no one cares about your opinion. Like nobody, like you're a paralegal, just sit down and answer your emails and like do like, you know, file your memos, but just like don't ask questions. It was just so weird.
Yeah.
Big learning curve.
Yeah. So, I found that really difficult, I guess, because, you know, I didn't want to be messaging people all the time to be like, hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I like knowing what I'm doing, and I had to make my own way. That was the other thing, was this is the first time that in some ways, working in a shop, it's like a customer comes up to you and says, I would like a product, and you say, it is over here.
Yeah. yeah.
Like the work kind of makes itself. Whereas working in an office, not just at home, I think especially at home though, you've kind of got to be self-motivated.
Totally.
And you've got to, you know, every day you've got to sit down and go, okay, this is all the things that I have to do. And not having that direction, I guess, was also very difficult for me. So something that I did to sort of help with those directions is, I mean, first of all, like making sure I'm in contact with people and know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But also like going through every day or every week and writing down a list of everything I need to do.
Yeah.
I have a physical diary.
Oh, cool.
Where I write down all of the things that I need to do.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, questions for this guest. Email this guest.
Yeah.
And then I'll cross them off
great.
as I go. I love the crossing off of people.
Oh, it's so nice.
Of things, not people.
The crossing off of people. Yeah, no, I totally relate. It's definitely a different kind of feeling. But yeah.
And then like if I know that I have to do this thing on this specific day, I might write the day down, or I might put a star next to it to say, this I have to do at this time.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I guess, keep in contact with people. Like I'm not very good at it, but just be like, hey, is there anything you need from me? Try and keep in contact with all the people you need to be in contact with. And I'm not just talking about like we have guests specifically that we need to contact, but also with your team to just be like, is there anything I've forgotten? Is there anything that I need to do that, or is there anything I can help you with?
Yeah.
That kind of
like
thing.
constant line of communication, because you have to work so much harder to get it to a workable point than if you were in an office. Because when you're in an office, like you see people and you think of things and you can just lean over to someone's desk, whereas this is so different because the message, like you feel like it's so much more purposeful when you message someone. So kind of like breaking that down and being like, okay, you can like message me about like anything, like whenever.
Yeah. The other thing is like messaging people being like, hey, I know it's the weekend. Don't answer this until you're back at work.
Yeah.
But I just had this question and I'm going to forget if I don't write it.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah. And then it's so bad then when they are there on the weekends and you're like, no, you're not supposed to be here. Go away.
Exactly. I know why I'm here, but why are you here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. So anyway, we're going to dive a little bit more into that in a second. But before we do that, for our listeners, Gabriella, how would you define personal productivity?
So that's an interesting one for me. So I think that it's about utilizing our time to do the things that we want to do. And also being, so, you know, like if I have to email these different people today and make sure I know what they're doing, is making sure I do that in, I guess, a normal time, but then also factoring in the fact that emailing me makes me nervous and I will need to go and make myself a cup of tea afterwards. And that's actually fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And utilizing my time in an effective way, but also being okay if I'm not 100% productive, I guess. That's something I definitely struggled with at the beginning was, not knowing what I'm doing, but also not wasting my time or getting so nervous with things that I would waste my time.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Totally. Yeah, it's definitely, and I think like if I've learned anything off like running the show is like productivity comes in so many different forms and it's not always going to mean the same to you as it is to someone else. And I think I've had a lot of guests who have explained it quite well in terms of like being productive doesn't mean always working. Sometimes it does just mean like taking a moment for yourself, because being productive is about, like, you know, you hear a lot about this, like, maximizing yourself, and it's called, like, all this kind of stuff is really, like, yeah, so some of those things are, like, go off on some very toxic tangents, but you hear a lot about, yeah, like, this hustle culture and all that kind of stuff. But being productive, what I've taken away from the show is, like, it just means making sure that you're always, like, doing your best and you're always your best self. And sometimes to be your best self, like, you just have to not do anything. And that's like the most helpful thing that I probably learned is, like, you know what, it's still productive for me to take a break and, like, you know, watch a TV show while I'm having lunch, or just like hang out some washing, like, outside, and like take as long as I want or anything. Like, those things, even though they don't look productive to, like, the general sort of, like, civilization with our whole work hustle culture, but, like, they are, because you're still investing in yourself, so that when you do go back to doing things that we generally consider productive, you're able to do them a lot better because you've, like, recharged and looked after yourself.
And I think the other thing is realizing the different, I guess, states of our own mental states over the day.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I've noticed that I'm really productive in the morning. So I try to study then, because then I'll retain as much as possible.
Yeah.
And then about between 3 and 5, I get really just, I can't focus on anything.
Yeah.
I just can't do anything. I don't know why. So that's usually the time when I'll go for a run, because I don't need to use my brain.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I can't concentrate and do anything productive, in quotation marks, then I'll do something that's also productive, but for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I was working in a shop, I don't think as well at night. So that's when I would try, and if I have shifts, that's when I do them, because I know that I'm not going to get much great thinking done, but it's still a time where I'm awake enough that I can work.
Yeah.
Rather than using those productive thinking hours for working in a shop.
Yeah, totally.
So I guess figuring out who you are and what works for you, and how your body clock runs is something that I think is really important. And maximizing that, not maximizing your time, but maximizing how you work, I guess.
Yes, no, definitely. And I think that's something that, yeah, we're going to talk about more now, in terms of how, like, knowing yourself and understanding how you work has affected this whole, like, work from home kind of, like, phenomenon that we've been hit with because of COVID. So my question to you would be, like, we've always been told to separate our work from our life with sayings such as, like, you know, don't take work home and all that kind of stuff. How do you think working from home has affected our relationship with work?
I think that sometimes I have a lot of trouble, I think, separating the work from the home, because, but then I also, actually, no, I have more trouble separating study from home.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Because, so working, I feel like if I'm not clocked in, if I'm not supposed to be working that day, it's a lot easier for me to be like, I'm not working this day. I'm not going to do anything. I don't check my emails. Maybe that's because I also study and I work in the same room. So that room isn't just working.
Yeah.
So when I'm there, I'm not just thinking about work. I find it a lot harder to separate from study.
Do you have a separate office?
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So I'm lucky.
We can get to that, but yeah,
Okay,
I'm very interested. But anyway, continue.
So, but I have trouble, I guess, if I have an hour or two at night, I'll be like, I need to study. I have to study.
Yeah.
I always feel like I have to be doing something. And if I'm really not concentrating on study, then I'll do some work. Or if I'm not concentrating on study, then
I always feel like I have to be studying.
It's
so annoying.
Yeah.
Like, even when I have studied, I'm like, I should be studying. Like, there's just never that level of, and I hate how ingrained that is, like, into our culture. And there's really nothing we can do about it now. It's too late. But, like, I hate how ingrained it is. Like, if you're not studying, like, you're wasting time. Like, you should always be studying, because you feel this guilt when you're not, and you're just like, oh, I really should be studying right now.
That's exactly how I feel. I don't find it so much for work, because I feel like I get paid to do these hours, and I will do those hours.
Yeah.
And that is what I will do.
And you can walk away from it feeling productive.
Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But study, there's no set time limit, I guess.
Yeah.
And because of that, I will also procrastinate when I study. I feel like when I'm working, I'm like, okay, I have to work. I have to do this. I have to get all of this done. I find studying is way more ephemeral. You know, it's like, oh, read some chapters.
Yeah. It's so much more like, nonchalance. It's kind of like, whatever.
Like, so I also write lists for what I'm doing during the day. I don't just do it for work. I do it for study.
Yeah.
But it's like, read some studies. Write my assignment.
Yeah.
And you can never really cross it off.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's not like you can it's not like one task. It's actually a huge task that gets done over a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a whole semester. Yeah, like when you've got like a reading guide, like at the moment I'm working through stuff for like the intensive unit that I'm doing at the moment, and it's just like they haven't given us, this is a bit of a nitpick, but like they haven't given us like page numbers or chapters. They just like given us the names of books, and they're like, oh, read these.
What?
And I'm just like, how am I supposed to know like when I'm finished? Like, it's just so much less satisfying. But anyway, we've gone on a bit of a study tangent here. We're both still at uni, so we're kind of venting a little bit.
But okay, I guess in some ways it's good, I think, that I have study and work at the same time.
Yeah.
So that stops me from, I guess, getting too lost on one thing.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be a bit more scheduled in how I use my time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, so last week I didn't have uni.
Yeah.
So that meant I had all week to do my hours of work. And that meant I would log in, look at my emails, maybe do one thing. Half an hour later, I'd be like, well, I'm bored. I'm going to go for a walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that meant that I would spend all day theoretically working, but I would only actually clock in like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And in some ways it felt like a bit of a waste of time because I can't do anything productive when I'm not working, but I'm also not doing anything productive when I am working.
Yep.
So
yeah,
I think that at least because I've got studying at the same time as I'm working, it means that I have to be really specific about what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. I can't just be like, I'm going for a walk now.
Yeah.
So I guess scheduling is kind of important in that sense, or having enough to do when you're not working.
Definitely.
That you have like set hours. I guess what I'm trying to say is set times and just work in those times. Yeah. And don't do what I do.
Which is to sort of like be available all the time.
Be available all the time.
But also not be available.
Never actually be working.
Yeah. The life of freelancers gets grief. It's a lot. But okay, so I want to go back. I asked you before about like if you have an office that's separate from your bedroom. So because my next question is like a lot of us don't have control over what spaces we have to work from, whether that's like you're in an office in a cubicle, which I hate, or you're like working at home. So what small things can people do to make their space feel more like an office? Now you have a separate office. Do you feel like this really changes the game for you in terms of like having a separate bedroom, having a separate office?
Oh, 100%. I'm really particular about noise and how tidy things are. I tried working, so my partner also works from home. So he works in the living room. I tried working next to him once. I couldn't stand the noise he was making when he typed.
Oh, God bless.
And it's not his fault. It's just like I've never been able to work in libraries.
Okay, really?
Yeah, I've always had to study at home.
Interesting.
So
is it because like you want like full silence, or you want like certain noises?
I basically want full silence.
Whoa, I can't do that.
I don't mind like a little bit of noise.
Yeah, okay.
But like anything I guess that's too loud really annoys me.
Do you listen to music?
No.
Whoa. Oh,
occasionally.
She's unique, guys.
I was having this discussion with some others, and apparently this is weird.
It is weird. Yeah.
Like, so my bathroom, we have a fan.
You are odd.
And I hate the noise of the fan.
Is that this like white noise though?
Yeah, it's white noise, but
And
I
you hate
it.
That's weird.
Every time my partner goes to the bathroom, he leaves the door open, and I'm
Yeah.
like, close the door. I can hear the fan. I hate it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. You must get a lot done though then, if you're not like getting distracted by Taylor Swift songs.
I used to be able to sing songs
Yeah.
and write essays at the same time.
Yeah, that's
And
me.
I can't do that now.
Really?
I get distracted by the words.
Oh, yeah, see, I do too.
Yeah, I can't. So I don't know.
Fair enough.
Maybe I just need the space for my brain to talk to itself.
Yeah, okay. So going back to my question, what small things, if, for example, if you do have an office at home or if you don't have an office at home, such as myself, what do you think are some small things people can do to make their space feel more like a home office?
I think setting up some time to actually tidy it up.
Yeah.
I think particularly if you're working from home or if you're working particularly in your bedroom, if it's messy, if you can see stuff, it's gonna make you think about other things.
Right now. Genuinely so mad. Maybe
it's just me. I've always been. I can't work when there's mess around me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm a tidy person. I will place things in such ways that I feel like it's okay, but it's not necessarily tidy.
Yeah.
But spending like 5 minutes either before bed or before you work, tidying things up so that you're not distracted by things or you don't feel overwhelmed by things is a really important thing for me to do.
Yeah.
My partner's favorite thing to do is not favorite thing to do. That's overblowing the situation. He sees the room as a bit of a dumping ground. Because it's the spare bedroom. He's like, it's a spare bedroom. It's where you put all your spare things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a study. It is where I study.
It is a clean space.
I don't just leave your cardboard boxes here.
Yeah. Bless.
So I work hard at maintaining a level of tidy
clean space
that is workable. I'm not saying it's tidy. I'm saying it doesn't annoy me to be in there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
That's my number one thing.
Yeah.
That I do. So I think just like, if you work in your bedroom, making sure the bed is made so if you want to sit on the bed, you're not disturbing everything, you're not losing your pens in the bed. I speak from experience.
Yeah, no, me too.
Or making sure the desk is clear enough that you can actually use it.
Yeah.
If you want to use it.
God, me. Yeah, no, I really need to work on this. And and you're right, it definitely makes a difference because I work in my bedroom. I have a very large desk, which I adore. It's extremely heavy. It's from like the 70s. Like it's like this big, like brown wooden thing. And I am going to be so devastated when I part from it. I have to take it with me. I don't know. But anyway, enough about my desk. But yeah, I can feel there's a very like clear difference from like when I'm working in a messy space versus when I'm working in a clean space. Majority of the time I am working in a messy space because I am a very I'm an organized person like in my head. No, that's a lie. I'm an organized person from what I do. If you looked at my life, you're like, oh, okay, Tia does this and she does that and she does that. Okay, she must be very organized because she does all these things. But if like my room is like a reflection of my brain and it is genuinely like the biggest, it's just so chaotic. And now because I've got a new room because we moved and I've got a walk-in wardrobe now and a bathroom, so it's just more space for me to like destroy. But I have been like I worked in my room like some of last week, and yeah, I could definitely feel a difference when I like cleared my desk and I was like, oh, okay, I can actually see. Yesterday my room was so messy I had to go to the library because I was like, I can't do this is too hard. I'm gonna go home and clean my room this afternoon. But yeah, I think having a clean space definitely makes you feel just more organized and more centered. I think it just kind of focuses your mind, and I think that definitely helps you be more productive, and it kind of gives that more like office kind of feel, because when you are like having to do more like corporate work, like offices do need to look clean to be presentable, whether that's to clients or chiefs or like that kind of stuff. And so I think like we've just naturally kind of like gravitated towards these like cleaner spaces because they often represent like order and calmness and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest takeaway would be having a clean space.
And the other thing I want to say is to like kind of combat, I guess, if you do sort of make your room a bit messier, it's okay, I think, to do that. But I think something that I've learned from my own guests from doing my own podcast is they say tidy for 5 minutes before you go to bed, or what I do is I tidy for 5 minutes before I start work.
Yeah.
And just doing it for 5 minutes, like you can put a timer on and you can do, I guess, you can focus on one area. So if today you just want to tidy your desk and just make that tidy, it doesn't have to be a big deal. I think people blow it up in their head. I certainly do. You know, you have to tidy everything in one go. And you're like, I don't have time for this today.
Yeah.
But if you just do 5 minutes, one day you tidy the desk and the next day you tidy the pile of clothing on your ground. And then eventually it'll be a little bit tidier. It won't necessarily be, because, you know, you have to live in this room.
Yeah, definitely.
It's never going to be perfect, but trying to maintain some control. And just 5 minutes. 5 minutes isn't a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I think it'll help with your like mental preparedness of work, I guess.
Yeah, totally. I think we underestimate the power of a clean space. And I think the other thing I'd probably say, to answer my own question, but the other thing I'd probably say when it comes to like the small things you can do, because the reason that I phrased the question like that was like to say like the small things people can do is because a lot of the time, like when you look up on the internet, which I just did like half an hour ago when I was making these questions, for context, I don't usually make my own questions, so give me a little credit here. But when I was looking it up and I was like, oh, you know, how to create a like healthy workspace, how to create an ergonomic health space, and it was just like you had to buy a lot of things, and I was like, not everybody has like the resources to be able to go out and create like a whole office. Like not everyone can get like a standing desk, not everyone can get like some fancy office chair that costs like $300. So that's why I wanted to ask you about like the small things.
I am the cheapest person. Most of my furniture is from the side of the road or marketplace secondhand.
Yeah.
So like
Totally.
my desk is inherited from my brother who got it from an op shop.
I love it.
So I guess if you don't have money to like get these things, try op shops, try the side of the road, try marketplace.
Yeah, that is a good
You can try those places.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say actually for working for your space, basically, the first time I set up my office, it was awful. Awful. Could not use it.
Really?
Yeah, I set up my desk. What did I do? So I also, at this point when I did it, I was sewing a lot. I wasn't working from home.
Right, yeah.
I had my sewing machine right by the window. It would get baking hot. I couldn't use it.
Oh, yeah,
because it was too bright.
Yeah.
And then I had two desks side by side, like either side in the narrow room to make a really small alleyway.
Oh my god.
So I don't know how to describe it, but basically it made the room tiny.
Yeah.
And it didn't work. So
No.
if you have time, if you are finding the room's not working for you, try reorganizing it. Maybe get a piece of paper, draw whatever approximate the sizes of what you need. Get rid of a piece of furniture. I got rid of a piece of furniture. It made a huge difference.
Really?
Yeah, I had 2 desks in there.
Oh,
I don't need 2 desks.
Yeah, no.
So I got rid of one desk. It made such a huge difference.
Yeah.
Spend a little bit of time thinking about what you need in that room, how to organize it. I got rid of a desk, but I got 2 cupboards to organize everything. But they were a lot narrower than what the desk was. And now that has my cat litter and has all my sewing stuff in it.
Yeah.
So it means that it takes up less space, but it stores so much more stuff. So I had no storage in that room and no space.
Yeah.
So if you have time, you don't have to spend a lot of money. I bought those 2 cabinets secondhand off Marketplace.
Yeah.
And they work really well. Just spend a bit of time thinking about what actually you need in that room.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
Like IKEA secondhand is great because you already know the dimensions.
Yeah. Exactly. You can look up the instructions. Yeah, totally.
Everyone has them, so you can find a secondhand one and it's the same color as someone else's.
Yeah. Definitely.
You can find boxes that fit into them perfectly.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love that about IKEA. That is good. Yeah, I like that. That's definitely helpful. I think, learning how to, I don't want to keep saying maximizing. It just sounds really just kind of, utilizing the space and understanding kind of what you need out of it, because like the working in front of a window thing, like it's as much as like the concept sounds nice, I've also had that situation whereas like my previous room, I had 6 windows.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. So I had to pretty much be working in front of a window. And what I found was that I am like a midday to afternoon working person. It takes me very long to get up in the morning and takes me quite long to kind of wind down for sleep in the night. So I cannot work in either of those times. So my brain really only works from about 10:30 to about 6 o'clock. This is a very small amount of time. So I have to make the most of this. But unfortunately, that is when the sun is at its most obnoxious and it comes in at different angles and it's annoying. And so I was annoyed because when I would sit down at my desk at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and then I'd be working for a while and then all of a sudden the sun would just be like beaming into my eyes, and I would even like try to move the curtains and it would create weird shadows, and it was just like, and it would make the space really hot. So I think learning how to use your windows, like learning how they actually help you or hinder you, makes a very big difference. Like seeing, where sound comes from, depending on your work, especially like if you're in media like us, like having those sounds and those acoustics and like you said before, like the bathroom fan noises and all those kinds of things. Learning how your work has to interact with your environment. Like, do you have kids? Are they going to come in and like, sit on your bed and play with your toys? Or, is your office just your office? So it's a lot about just kind of thinking, how is my space going to affect sort of like what I'm actually going to do? And it depends on so much more than you thought. Like, just like your sewing machine just getting really hot. Like, it's funny.
I guess my main takeaway is like, spend some time thinking about it and don't be afraid to like move things around.
Yeah.
And to, look at some low cost ways to like change things up. The other thing is, get good blinds. It made such a huge difference when I got new blinds in that room. Because it went from I couldn't work in front of the window to now I can bring the curtains down and work during the middle of the day. Yeah. And it made a huge difference in temperature, stopping the heat from coming in. Yeah. So if you're renting, see if you can get your new blinds.
Yes.
That's what I did.
Totally, yeah. I had these like really cute white curtains in my room and I thought they looked so pretty and they were so aesthetic and I was like, oh, that's so nice, but they don't block out anything. Like they genuinely have like you can buy white curtains that are block out curtains, but they're so much more expensive. And if you're a renter and it's just like so much more complicated. So, but now the room that I'm in now has like these like roller blinds. So it can be almost pitch black in my room, like whenever I need it to be, which is the best. So definitely investing in quality blinds. Working around your window seems to be quite the takeaway here. Having clean space and learning about your space and how it interacts with you and how you interact with it. Very important. Very, very important.
Yes.
So my next question is a little bit different. So working from home has some positive and negative side effects, and some research has shown that people have increased productivity and general happiness towards their job, whereas some research has also shown us that people are more likely to overwork because you don't have that clocking out effect, quote unquote, and you feel isolated because you're not working with people. So do you think employees should maintain what is called like a combined working week, where it's like 3 days working in the office with others and then like 2 days working at home? Like what are your thoughts on this kind of concept?
So I think first of all, have I experienced productivity and general happiness from working from home? And also have I been able to work alone? Have I been overworked and also isolated? Yes to all of those questions in different ways.
Yeah, I feel that.
I think that actually having a working week where we do a bit of both, working from home and also working in the office is good, personally. Yeah. Because I feel like you do need that working in an office where you get to know people, you know your colleagues, you can kind of like bounce ideas off each other. Working in a retail space, something I really enjoyed was being able to go to my colleagues and be like, hey, I have this problem. What do you think? And being able to help, you know, overhearing someone having some issues and going over to help them.
Yeah.
Obviously a bit different in retail, but that's something I've really enjoyed is working with other people. At the same time, I work way better at home for actually doing work.
Isolated, yeah. To actually be like actually doing stuff. I'm like, okay, I need to be by myself. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I've tried working with other people in like coffee shops and it's great, but you end up talking most of the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially with our team.
Yeah. Our team is a bit...
Our team is so chatty.
Yeah.
It's terrible, but it's great.
It's great
But
because you get a lot of, I guess,
productive.
so if you have lots of issues or you need to know things, that's great.
Yeah, I like that.
So I do think that I would like in the following year to do a bit more of the working together and also working from home a bit more balanced.
Yeah, I would really
rather
like
than
that.
working just from home. Because it is so much easier to help each other out and know what each other's doing and feel less isolated, particularly at the beginning when I started this job. I had no idea what anyone else was doing.
My gosh, yeah, we all thought that we had, like, none of us had any idea what we were doing, but we all thought that the other person knew what they were doing, and it was terrible.
I would start work and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing today.
Yeah, like, genuinely no idea.
So I think that being able to know what each other's doing and helping each other out is really important.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, being able to do those things, but also commute time is annoying.
Commute time is definitely the thing that is I feel like definitely making a difference for a lot of people when it comes to working from home, because suddenly everyone's just like, oh, I don't have to go anywhere if I don't want to. Like even before the show, I text Gabriella, and because the trains on some lines, or on my line at least, they weren't running properly, so you had to catch a bus instead. So I had to catch a different train line, and I messaged Gabriella and I was like, oh, hey, look, like the trains are being like really annoying today because they're not running and there's bus replacements. If you've got bus replacements and you don't you don't feel like coming into the studio, then that's fine. We'll do it remotely. Thankfully, Gabriella got here totally fine, but there was just that sudden like response where it was just like, oh, I don't want to like go to this effort to get into the city, because now we've got like that choice, and your brain is just like, we're just naturally so like homebodies and just like so lazy, so you're just like, oh yeah, like I'll just stay home.
I definitely feel that as well. Like sometimes even just thinking about like what lunch do I bring to work? Yeah. Like if I'm at home, I can just make myself a sandwich with all the stuff in my fridge.
Yeah, I have this problem all the time.
But coming to work, I have to make lunch.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, obviously taking the train and things or driving. If there's terrible traffic, a couple weeks ago, none of the train lines are running. So trying to get to my retail job, I had to drive because one tram line was down. Two trains were down. Yeah. There was only one tram running to the city for me to take. I couldn't leave the city. So, like, you know, being able to work from, obviously I couldn't because it was my retail job, but in that case, so much easier just to work from home.
Yeah, definitely.
In that case. But as I said, in that case, I had to actually do some recording from home, and it was really annoying to set up my home office to record because, you know, my partner's talking in the background.
Oh, so finicky. If you live with other people, it's genuinely the worst.
So there are definitely pros and cons. I would say that, being able to have the flexibility. The other day I went to the dentist in the middle of the day because I work from home.
Yeah, totally.
And I just, said, hey, I'm going to the dentist. I'm not going to be here for a few hours. And it's fine. I'll just make up the time later.
Yeah, it's great because we have, just for context for the people listening, we use Slack for work to interact with each other, and you can always put these like little emojis next to your face on the messaging app that tells other people sort of what they're doing, and some like people just had the weirdest stuff. Like some of the admin assistants and stuff have like, you know, like doing yoga or like eating lunch or like currently on a boat, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, guys, like what? Like yesterday I had I put the books because I was studying, and it's just like, and Lou does like the thinking time with like the little like light globe and stuff, and it's so funny. But yeah, definitely commuting it has its pros and cons, and there's been a lot of like research and stuff about like people commuting like is the worst part of their day. Like it's the part when they hate the most, going in or going out. But also I think I've definitely found, like, besides the fact that I hate having to get up early to like catch like a bus and a train and then walk 15 minutes to our studio, I like you get there, you work, and then when you go home you don't have to work. And I like that kind of like physical clocking in and clocking out kind of feeling.
Definitely.
It definitely changes the game, whereas like when you're working from home, and I definitely struggled with this at the start when I was first working from home, was that there's that no physical kind of like barrier, and a lot of people had to get really creative in terms of like coming up with ways to like signal to your body like we're done, like this is it, especially if you were working and sort of like living / sleeping in like the same space. It was so hard, like so difficult.
I think actually something that maybe has helped me a little bit, so on my computer you can do this thing where you've got the different desktops.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if anyone else does this, but I have a work desktop, I have a uni desktop, and I have a fun desktop.
What? That's so cool.
So when I press my button, I can like switch. I can sort of,
Genuinely
in some ways, go, and all my work stuff is on the one desktop, so I can see everything for work here. And then when I don't want to look at work stuff,
you can do this.
I go into uni.
That's so genius. Sorry, I sound like such a dumbass right now. But no, that's so good though. I like that.
And it means that like
stealing that.
When I'm studying, I don't accidentally look at work messages.
Oh my gosh, yeah, story of my life.
And then get distracted.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
That's so good. I love that. I'm totally doing that. Yes, that is a great tip. Thank you.
So that's for anyone with MacBooks.
Yeah, for anyone with MacBooks. Unfortunately, if you're not privy to the MacBook community, then I'm sure there are equivalents. But
I'm sure you could figure something out. Maybe you can just close all of your tabs, or like how you can have like different tabs on your for the internet. You can do that.
Oh, I've got this. Is what I've been using at the moment. Is with Google Chrome, you can create groups of tabs. So because I often have a lot of tabs open all at once, as most people do, some of them are work tabs, some of them are uni tabs, or if I've got different uni subjects open and I need like, something law related or journalism related or whatever. And if I've got so many tabs, I forget which ones are which, and I hate sort of like clicking through. And I found out the other day, thank you to Hank Green for showing me this, is you can create Chrome tabs so that like you create a group. And so when you click on the group, you can like shrink it so all the tabs just go into that spot, and then you can focus on whatever you're doing. And then when you want to go back to that, you like close the group that you're in and open the other group. And like it doesn't, like, I've made it sound a lot more complicated than it actually is, but just like the tabs at the top just stay a lot more organized. It doesn't affect your page or anything. But it just like your tabs just stay so much more organized. And I think that would definitely be helpful. But I think if you're working, like it's definitely working from home, it's definitely important to like clock off, even if you just like change your background. Just like change, because everyone's sort of got like that work background, and I think just like changing your background like after you clock out and you're like, oh okay, this is my laptop again, it's not my work computer kind of vibes.
Maybe like going, like maybe a ritual at the end of your day could be to like save all your documents and actually just leave them, like X out of them. I never X out of anything. But
it's a bad habit.
But like I guess changing something in some way, removing everything so you can't actually see your work things. Particularly if like I think probably for you and for me, if this is my uni laptop, it's my fun laptop. It's my only laptop. My
everything.
So like
totally.
It's making a very clear separation, so I'm not seeing anything else that I don't want to see.
Exactly.
When I'm not working.
Especially closing apps, I find is really helpful, especially if you've got like our work messaging app. I find myself just like checking it just like on the fly, and then I'm like, oh, I should probably respond to that, and I'm like, no, I'm not like clocking this, like I'm not actually like getting paid for this. So that definitely closing that app when I'm not working and just like making sure I don't open it. It's just like, it's like such a self-controlled thing. I'm like, okay, Tia, like you're not working right now. Don't check it. But I always feel like I'm like, I should check it. Like what if, you know, like what if Natasia's messaged me or like something like this? And I'm like, okay, like I got to check it. But no, definitely making sure like you're much more strict on yourself about like not checking work and like, you know, not clocking out late or not clocking in early, because like, would you do those things in your normal like day to day if you're working in an office? No, you wouldn't. So don't do them.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And the other one is not having messages come to your phone. I have not connected Slack to my phone.
Yeah, we've had this problem many times.
So if people have my number if they need to get into contact with me.
Yeah.
So they can if they need to.
Yeah.
But other than that, if I'm not at work, if I'm not at my computer, I'm not at work.
Yeah, same.
If I'm not at my computer, I'm not responding to messages.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I haven't connected Slack to my phone either, which definitely is such a good thing. Like sometimes I'm just like, oh, you know, like maybe I should connect my emails so they come through, or maybe I should connect my Slack so it comes through. And I'm just like, no, Tia, like as soon as you do that, you just like break down so many walls that like between your work and your life and your study, and then it just becomes too chaotic and you're just like on overload just on like a constant basis. And yeah, like everyone at work like has our numbers so they can contact us, but even then it's just like being that contactable. It's like it's a good thing, but it's also just like when I'm not at my computer, I'm not working.
Yes.
It's just like that's it, that's the line. Like there's no like work around that or anything. No, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely hard. But okay, so we're going to go into the practice habit debrief of section of the podcast now. So this is essentially where I ask the experts, or for this
non-experts, real life experience haver.
In this context, we've got Gabriella, who's the host of the home organization kind of stuff. So you've learnt from your guests certain things who are experts.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you this first question: what is the practice that you do to be more productive when working from home?
So I've spoken about this a little bit, but I do like to have a list of what I do that day so I can keep track of everything that I need to do. Particularly, I find the work that I'm doing is quite bitsy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like contact guest, email the guest more information.
Yeah.
Edit the questions for the guest.
Our work isn't long form, it's very like snippet.
And then you send an email for one guest, and then you have to wait 2 days for them to get back to you.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, but it does mean that you've got all these little tasks that you have to keep on top of. Particularly at the moment, I've got quite a few guests I'm in contact with, and trying to remember who I'm talking to about what stage I am. We've got lots of things on our computers, but to help us with that. But I also find I like to just have something in my book. It's a really simple list, and I just keep that updated.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's what I do.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so what would you say are 3 good things about this practice?
So let me think. 3 good things. Number 1, I really like crossing them off when I'm done with something. It's a very satisfying feeling. When you can look at your list and be like, I've done all this work today, that's a great feeling.
Oh, yeah, such a nice feeling.
It really helps me to keep tabs of all the little things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of threads that I'm pulling, I guess, and I need to know what needs to be pulled, what has to be pulled. A third one. Sometimes I decorate it.
I like that. That's nice.
Like when I'm really, I guess, feeling a bit overwhelmed, I can just be like, I'll put a sticker here.
I love putting stickers. Yeah, and I'm like, you got this.
Yeah.
And like, you go. Yeah, it's so cute.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so are there any challenges that you face when you do this practice?
It can get very messy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I find that too.
Just like having so many different things. Also, I have 2 pages. One is uni work, one side, and then it's work, not uni work, uni home, and then work the other side.
Yeah.
And my whole work page will be filled with like little tasks. And then I get confused because like at the beginning of the week, I was like, I need to do this task, this task, this task. And I'll have done 3 of the tasks, but there'll be one that I haven't done.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of gets lost in all the crossing out.
Yep.
So I might, at the bottom, write it again.
Yeah. Must do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my work uni home side will be empty.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, honestly, my uni side is always so vague. It's like, read this, watch this, maybe if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
It's genuinely terrible.
For me, it's just like edit assignment.
Yeah. Very vague.
It's vague. It's like complete module.
Yeah. Finish degree. Yeah. It's like survive. Yeah, totally. All right. So do you set up a certain time to do this?
I definitely start the day by doing this.
Okay.
I go through my emails, I go through my messages, I see what tasks I have to do, and I'll write them all down. And usually at the end of the day, if I'm feeling like I need to finish now, but I still have things I need to do.
Yeah.
I go through and I take note of the things I haven't done. I write down all the things that I need to do for the next day.
Yeah.
Just so I can keep on top of everything. And then as things go up during the day, I also add things there.
Yeah.
And I keep checking back regularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So would you recommend this practice to everyone?
Not to everyone, no.
Okay. Why?
So I think some people, it works really well for some people.
Yeah.
I think for some people it doesn't. And I've talked to other people and they're like, I've tried it. It doesn't work. Yeah. In that case, fine, don't do it.
Great.
I mean, definitely give it a go. See if it works for you.
Yeah.
It's definitely helped me.
Yeah.
But I think it helps if your brain works a certain way. Then it will work for you. If your brain doesn't work a certain way, my partner doesn't use lists at all because he keeps everything in his head.
Whoa.
I have no idea.
I can't relate.
I can't. I have a diary on my phone.
I would genuinely lose my life. Like
he knows all the things he's doing. He's got all of it in his head. I have to have a diary on my phone that gives me alerts when I have to do things.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, I forgot to go to the doctor once because I just forgot.
Yeah, totally. No, if I don't make like multiple reminders that I have an appointment, I will just not go. Yeah.
So that's what but my list is really good for because I can be like, oh yeah, I forgot to do that thing.
I love lists.
Yeah.
I feel so organized.
But yeah, so it's definitely not a bad thing to try out. But don't be discouraged, I guess, if it doesn't work for you. Just try different things. Yeah,
totally. There's so many different ways to be organized. Like whether you're a note and pen and paper person, or you're a Notion person, or a Google Calendar person, or all that kind of stuff. There are so many different things. Definitely give them a try. And it's quite fun kind of figuring out what you do and don't like.
Yeah.
I love Notion. I find Outlook so difficult to use. I hate it. It's just not like I've made it work, but it's just like the death of me. I've learned to love Asana. Used to find it really confusing. Now I'm like, okay, this is my domain.
Yes, it's actually working now.
It's actually working now, which is really nice. So anyway, okay, so we've come to almost the end, but now we get to do open mic. So this is where Gabrielle is so excited. This is where this is the part of the show where the guest essentially gets to talk about anything that they're passionate about. Doesn't have to be related to productivity. Get the feeling it won't be. But yeah, so over to you, Gabriella. What do you want to talk about?
So I thought we could talk about reading because I love books.
Yay, books! I love it.
I started using Goodreads to track my books because when I was reading the series during lockdown, The Realm of the Elderlings, there was 16 books and I was making my way through them pretty steadily.
Yeah.
It took me 9 months, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Which is I think a book every 2 weeks.
Yeah, wow.
And
oh my gosh, this hit me how many books that was. And
so the thing was after I finished, I was like, oh, it would be really cool to see how long it would have taken me to read all those books.
Yeah.
But I didn't keep track of it.
So sad.
So I started tracking the books that I read. And it also means that I can see what types of books I'm reading.
Yeah.
So I've been really enjoying that. Last year I read 42 books.
Oh my gosh. Whoa. That is... that's like a book like every like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah,
Wow.
about that, I think. Look, some of them were very small books.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You're reading like little like novellas.
Yeah, there was one book I read which took me like 2 months.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's a solid.
It was
slog.
I like books. I like
Yeah.
books. They're huge, but this is too much. I didn't like it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
And it also means that I can see like what kinds of books I read. Last year I read a lot of fantasy because with work and study, I need my brain to have some escapism.
Yeah. Totally.
But it's also like great because I could see that, you know, other times I like reading books to expand my knowledge, to learn more.
Yeah.
And if I'm reading a lot of fantasy books, I can be like, oh no, now I have to read a sensible book.
Oh no, now I have to read an educational book.
Yeah. It's also good
That's so
because
funny.
I want to read a lot of books and I forget which books I want
me
to read.
too. Yeah.
So I can go through something I've discovered last year.
Is that like an app or?
No, it's just Goodreads. I just save all the
okay.
books I want to read.
So there's no app.
Well, there probably is an app.
Okay.
But I just use
don't
Goodreads.
it. Yeah. Okay.
But I save all the books I want to read on Goodreads, and then I go into my local library catalog.
Yeah.
And I reserve books. I can look back and forth between the two windows.
Oh no.
And I just go through my list and just reserve like 5 books that I want to read.
No books at Gabriella's library left.
Well, the issue was that my library doesn't have enough books that I want to read.
Oh no.
Like in the actual library, physical library. So I had to order books from like the other surrounding libraries.
Oh, terrible. That's so funny.
That's my recommendation is to like have a list of books and then go through on your library internet catalog and reserve them. So they send them to your library and you can just pick them up.
That's so good. Yeah, I forget about libraries. I just now I just associate them with like studying and like textbooks. I don't associate with them with like enjoy, like just in like reading for enjoyment. Which is so
interesting.
Sad.
I guess it's because you studied in libraries and I hated that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I study in the library and so I just don't, like I just forget that I'm like, oh, they actually have like other books here that aren't like for educational purposes. Like they have all the other books because I'm like, oh, I'll like order this book or I'll order this book. And I'm like, I could just like get it like for free.
Yeah.
Just like read it and then like send it back. And then if I want to buy it, I can buy it myself. Like I forget about that so much.
Yes,
Thank you for reminding me.
This is your reminder that libraries are basically free for the most part.
Yeah.
Utilize them.
Yeah, totally.
Go and get books that you want to read from there. Don't buy books unless it's a really good book.
Yeah.
Reduce your impact on the economy.
That's good. Yes. No.
Is that a good thing? Reduce your impact on the planet?
Yeah, there we go. Let's go with that.
That's better.
I love books. I think I've just forgotten that libraries is like I was obsessed with them when I was little because I was like, you know, bookworm nerd. So I was just there just like all the time. And it was like one of the only places where we lived that was like airconned. And it was free Wi-Fi. And so my mum would literally just drop us off at the library and then go food shopping. And we would just like float around in the library and it was cool. And I loved it so much. And I've literally still got my library card from when I was like 12 for like Wanneroo Library in Perth, and it's like a gold one because I was a gold member because I got out so many books. But yeah, and then as I got older, now I'm a uni student and I'm just like, oh yeah, like if you go to the library, it's literally just to study or like get a textbook. It's not to get like something enjoyable. I totally forgot about that.
I'd also like to remind people that you should read books to enjoy them.
Okay. What does this mean?
So I like to read books to educate myself.
Yeah.
I like to read books to challenge myself, but I think it's also fine to read books because you really enjoy it.
Yeah, totally.
It's better to read an enjoyable book and actually read it than try and educate yourself and not read it.
Yeah, totally.
I think. Like, I've talked to a few people who are like, oh, I'd like to read more, but I started reading this book and I didn't really like it and I stopped reading.
Yeah.
And I want to finish it, but I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's fine to read books for teenagers if you enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's
good old dystopian novels.
Oh yeah. Man, one of the best books I read last year was a YA.
Yeah.
And I read it in like a day.
They're honestly, like, you get so hooked. Like, I remember reading, like, the Maze Runner, like, series, like, so quickly. Like, they were genuinely some of the best books I have ever read. And I would totally, like, I recommend. Even if you're an adult, like, if you're not a teenager, they're just so good. Like, they're just, like, so gripping. And I think they have to be to keep teenagers engaged.
The other thing that kind of annoys me is, as a kid, I felt like I could go to any, like, kids bookshop or kids section of bookshop, any library with kids' books, and all the books were good.
Yeah.
As an adult, I go to libraries and I pick a book out, and it's
books
boring.
Suck. Yeah.
It's terrible. I'm like, how is this available to be read?
Yeah,
this is awful.
Like, who wrote this? Adults get so cocky. Yeah. They're just like, oh, I'm just going to write a book. Whereas, like, kids' books, like, so much more niche. Yeah.
I feel like I go to I still go to, like, when I walk past kids sections, I'm like, I've read that one, I've read that one, I've read that one, I've read that one.
Yeah.
That was good, that was good, that was good, that was good, that was okay, that was good, that was good, that was good.
They tend to not be as disappointing.
Yeah, they're just really good books.
Yeah, honestly.
And I don't know if it's just because as kids we're less discerning. I don't think so, because... But,
like, even the YA books.
Yeah.
Like, some of them are just... I feel like it literally just, like, comes down to, like, publishers are so much more picky with, like, kids' books, because, like, oh, this actually needs to be good to, like, keep kids engaged. Whereas, like, when you get to an adult and some dude walks in with a book and, like, the publisher's like, I don't really understand this, but, like, I'm sure it's, like, makes sense to someone, or I'm sure it's good, but I have no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
But, like, I've heard that from so many, like, people who, like, write book reviews and stuff. Like, what are they called? Like, booktubers or something. And they'll be like, everyone was raving about this book, but nobody understands, like, what it's actually about. I feel like that's just such an adult thing. Like, oh, yes, they are so, like, powerful and all-knowing and all this stuff, when really it just didn't make sense. And it was genuinely just so boring.
So, yeah, my reminder is just to read books that you enjoy.
Totally.
And don't get caught up in, like, reading whatever's looks fancy, whatever everyone else is reading. If you enjoy something, just do it.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah,
no
and
shame.
if you don't like a book, drop it.
Yeah, literally, honestly.
Yeah. Don't waste your time.
Yeah, like, unless you're doing this for some, like, sort of, like, weird financial gain or anything, like, you don't have to, like, you really don't have to read it. Like, you can just, and if you got it from a library, then you can just, like, take it back and no one's going to judge you, and you didn't have to pay for it. Like, so good.
Yeah,
I love
perfect.
It. Amazing.
That's my take.
I love it. I love that we got to speak about books for like 30 minutes of this podcast. So anyway, and that nicely brings us to the end of our show. Thank you so much, Gabriella, for being here. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah.
This is so nice.
I love talking about everything I think about.
Right? It's so good. I wish we could just have, like, random episodes where we just chatted about stuff. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
So for those who want to find out more about you and what you do, where can they go? What can they look at?
So you can find my 2 podcasts on, I think, all podcast streaming things, YouTube, Spotify. You can look up Room by Room. It's the home organization podcast, Science Insights podcast, and on the house, the Household Management Science Insights podcast. Or you can find all of our other podcasts as well for all the other hosts.
Yes, you can.
You can find us there.
Yes. You can find all of ours. Oh my gosh, we've got 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you can go check us all out, and we'll leave the links to Gabriella's podcast in the descriptions below. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we'll see you next week. Bye. You have been listening to Work in Progress, the Personal Productivity Science Insights podcast produced by the Life Management Science Labs. Listen to episodes from LMSL's 10 Life Management Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or other podcasting apps on your smartphone. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps others find us and us grow to bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at pp.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Tia Harmer. Thanks for tuning in.